The Matrix was a 1999 sci-fi movie, but was it based on real life? Follow me down the rabbit hole about glitches in the Matrix. Hello, friends. Welcome back to the rabbit hole. I'm your host, Danny, and today we are talking about glitches in the Matrix. Now, what do I mean about a glitch in the Matrix? Well, don't you worry, because I'm here to tell you. So, a glitch in the Matrix is like a strange anomaly that happens that leaves us like pretty confused. It comes from the movie The Matrix. So, a lot of people have watched The Matrix. I don't know if you have. It's a good movie if you're a conspiracy theorist. It's kind of where like the simulation theory met sci-fi movie. And they made a lot of them. And Keanu Reeves is in it and everybody loves him. So go watch that movie if you haven't, or I think it's like a trilogy. Anyway, so that's kind of where like this term came from, this glitch in the Matrix. But it's happening all over the place. It's believed that these occurrences are proof that we are living in a simulation. And then when things happen, like these strange anomalies, strange things that happen, they're calling it like a glitch. So the Matrix is the simulation, and this glitch is something it shouldn't technically be happening, but we're noticing it. And I don't know if it's like happening more now because like I don't know, we're documenting it more now. So I don't know if it's happening more frequently or if it's just being documented better, but either way, it's all over the internet and I'm here to share it with you. So, let's get started. I found a bunch of examples. I found some articles, I found some videos, I found a lot of videos. I'm going to try my best to explain the examples that I found because some of them are videos. And so if you want to watch them, they're all linked in my show notes. And like others are just stories that I'll just like straight read to you. But some of these videos, I found a lot of them on Instagram. I don't do TikTok, so there's probably a bunch on TikTok, but I'm not doing TikTok. And a lot of the ones I found on Instagram are actually TikTok videos. They're just on Instagram. But I linked all those. So I highly suggest you to go watch them because it explains it a little bit better. But I'll do my best here. So the first one, I saw this video of Kourtney Kardashian. I had to look it up because I didn't know which Kardashian it was. But I knew it was a Kardashian. And she was on a morning show. And she was a guest. So it seemed like the morning show was like in Australia or something. And she was a guest, but she was obviously in LA. And so they were like living her in. So it was like a double screen. They were in one area. She was in another. And they were going to talk like that. And you know how there's sometimes like a delay when they're talking back and forth? Same concept, right? So she's sitting there, they introduce her, whatever, and she was like staring off as if someone was looking at her. And the anchors asked her if someone was talking to her because it was weird. It was like weird. She was like staring off into space. And she said, "Yes, sorry, they just came in like a very monotone way, not in a typical Kardashian fashion. It was like she was staring off into space. And the anchors were waiting for her to like re-engage with them and to kind of come back to what was going on because she was supposed to be on this segment, right? And they waited for about 10 seconds, which actually is a long time. When you're watching the video, you're like, they're waiting and waiting and waiting. 10 seconds is a decent amount of time when you're live. And that's when the anchors were like, "Have we lost you? Like, are you still here?" kind of thing. Like, because again, they're in separate places and sometimes maybe the audio isn't going through. Maybe there was some kind of technical error. And then she repeated, "They just came in." And the whole time she's staring off into space. She's like looking. It's very odd. It's like she's not, I don't know. It's like she's not there, but she's obviously sitting right there. We see it. And then they end up just like cutting the feed and moving on to the next segment, which I would do the same thing. But it was like a really weird thing that she was like, "Yes, sorry, they just came in." And then later on, she's like, "They just came in," like repeating the same thing. And the whole time, like staring off, not engaging. It was weird. It was a weird little video. And it was like a short little video because I'm sure they edited it some. But next we have NBA Matrix glitches. There's a lot of this. I don't know, like, what's going on in the NBA, and it's kind of hard to explain, but basically it looks like someone like copy and pasted a move, because several players do the same like thing at the exact same time. So like if one of them like wipes their nose, but it'll be like three of them wiping their nose in the exact same way at the same time. So it's not like one of them watched somebody wipe their nose and then the next one does it. It's like they're all doing it at the same time. And sometimes it's sometimes it's two people, sometimes it's three people. It's bizarre. Like there were two people taking off their sweats at the same time before the game, and they do it in the same way and at the same time. But the video, it's like they're taking their sweats off in like a really weird way, not like a typical way that like somebody would take a sweatshirt off. So like it's not something that would typically happen. It's like a weird phenomenon. I don't know. It's hard to say, but they do it at the same time. It's not like literally one of them watched the other take their sweatshirt off in like a weird way and then they did it. They do it at the exact same time. Or like after a free throw, you have three members of the opposing team and they all cheered. And I'm guessing like the guy missed the free throw. I don't really know. I'm guessing the guy missed the free throw. And then all these guys cheered and they moved their hands in the exact same way at the exact same time. Again, not in like a typical like cheering way. Like it wasn't like a pump up. It was like a kind of a hit to the side almost. Like they didn't actually hit somebody, like a swipe to the side with their arm. But three people do it at the same time. And so I linked the video of this in my show notes because this one you have to see. It's multiple. It's not just one or two. It's not just these two. These are just the two examples I decided to throw out there because those are like weird things, but this happens over and over and over. You have all these players like moving in the same way, or all these people doing the same thing, and it's not the same team. It's a lot of different teams, a lot of different people. So I don't know, do they show these weird moves and they tell you like do this move at this exact time? Like that would be a weird thing. Like everyone's joking that the NFL, or not joking, people, it's a conspiracy right now that the NFL is scripted, and I'm sure people will say the same thing about the NBA or in like baseball, football, hockey, whatever. But to script it down this much would be really strange. So you have to watch that video. If you're not going to watch any others, you have to watch this NBA Matrix glitches video because there's a bunch of them. And the guy in the video is like explaining that there's glitches in the Matrix in the NBA. And then there's like a video of it right above. It's crazy. So go watch that one. There was this other video. I mean, I found all kinds, right? So then I found this one of a TikToker. And again, it was on Instagram. I'm not on TikTok. And they caught this glitch on a motion camera. So this girl's grandmother had just died and her mom was cleaning out the grandmother's house. And in the entryway of the house, there was a camera. It was like motion activated. So you could go back and see, like it was always recording, but you could go back and see like when there was motion, which is it's really cool. So it's always recording, but then when there's certain motion, it's like, hey, at this time there was motion, so you could go straight to that time. Well, the camera picked up on the mom leaving the house, right? Mom was like all done for the day. She was packing up. She left the house. And there was like nothing in the entryway. Mom left. It was all fine. And then in the middle of the night, a gift bag just appeared. It was literally like not there. Then the next second it was there. And the girl just plays this camera footage and you can see it appearing in the entryway. Because the next morning her mom goes back to the grandmother's house and finds this bag in the middle of the entryway. And her mom clearly didn't leave it there. Nobody else has a key to the house. Nobody else is coming in and out. And in the video, you can see the bag just appear. So like, what the heck? I don't know. It's pretty crazy. On YouTube, I found this video where a car was driving along and just got into a car accident, which sounds totally normal, right? Cars drive, cars get into car accidents. It happens. That's why they're called car accidents. Well, the thing was, there was nothing in the road. The car was crossing an intersection, four-way intersection. There were other cars in the video. There were other cars, and they were on their way to the intersection, but they weren't in the intersection. They weren't close to the intersection. This car was in the intersection by itself, and it just hit something. And it's like out of a cartoon. It hit something like an invisible wall because the entire front end of this car was completely smashed in. There was nothing there. Nothing there. What did this car hit? It is driving along. It didn't like put on the brakes. It was driving along like nothing was there because there was nothing in the video. And then it just hits this thing head on. Or hits nothing. But gets into a car accident. The whole front end of the car is smashed in. That's weird. Okay, so I follow this lady on Instagram. And I love her videos. It's she mostly does Glitch in the Matrix videos, which kind of gave me the inspiration for this episode. I actually reached out to her at one point and was like, hey, do you think I could share some of your stories on my podcast? You know, I obviously do other research and do other things, but I would love to share a couple of your stories. She never emailed me back. And so I don't want to like share too much from her Instagram because that's how she that's her thing. That's how, and she does it on TikTok too. But how she makes money or how she is doing whatever she's doing. I would be really upset if people were like using my podcast and basically completely recreating it. So I thought that I would not share too much from her actual page, but I would share her page so you guys can go check it out. She called herself Auntie Matrix. So if you like put that into the search engine, you can find it. Or her little handle here on Instagram is Tessica Vision. So TESSICAVISION. So if you do like little at Tessica Vision, then you can find her. And her stories are really good. I really like them. And people write into her to give her their stories, which is what she's sharing, which is why I'm like, as another party, I'm not going to share any of her stories. But I am going to share a video. So it's like she was on TikTok, and you know how you can like duel. So like you have one, she's like reacting to somebody else's video. So it's not her video, it's not her sharing, it's just her reaction, but I found it on her Instagram, so I'll share that story. So this lady bought an activity table for her son. And on the table there's all these different activities, but one of the activities were like these 3 like colored shapes, and you would have the shapes that they can go down onto like a peg. So the kids could like put all the shapes on the correct peg for the correct color and shape. Makes sense. So there were 3 red circles, 3 blue triangles, and there were supposed to be like 3 green squares. And if you have kids, you know that these pieces would be misplaced immediately. And this lady's no different. She's like, yeah, absolutely, we lost something. Well, this lady, she was cleaning her house. She was looking for the pieces to put the activity table back together. And I do the same thing for my son. I go up after he goes to bed or like, you know, nap time or whatever. I go around, I pick up all his toys and I put them back with the activity that they go with. So he has this little food truck. So I find all the little food that goes with the food truck and I put all those pieces back on the food truck. I'm assuming this lady was doing the same thing. I don't know for sure, but that's what I'm assuming. So she was like cleaning out these little bins. She found all these different pieces. She found all 3 of the blue triangles. She only found 2 of the red circles. And she said that she had seen the 3rd red circle around. She just couldn't find it in the moment, but she couldn't find any of the green squares, like at all. But what she did find were 3 more blue triangles, which is weird because it only came with 3 blue triangles. So where'd the other 3 blue triangles come from? And the toy, like the thing is, the toy is pretty new. She literally still had the box in the house. She showed us the box in the video, and it didn't look damaged. It didn't look worn. It looked like it maybe had been played with once or twice, not much. And again, if you have kids, you know that toys get destroyed quickly. Like they get dirty, they get gross. Where did she find, where did these other 3 blue triangles come from? And where did the green squares go? And this isn't the first video that I've seen like this, where it's like somebody had something and then all of a sudden they had another thing. She actually, the same lady, this Auntie Matrix lady, she did another duel with a lady who found a second pair of AirPods in her house, and they're named the exact same thing as her first set of AirPods. And she asked everybody that had been to her house recently if they were their AirPods, and they're like, nope, those aren't mine. This happens so much. It's freaky. It's like, where did that extra thing come from? This lady wouldn't have bought 3 extra blue triangles to go on this activity table. You can't even buy them separately. where did the green squares go? Like, what the heck? The green squares are nowhere to be found. She says she can't find them anywhere. I don't know. It's weird. It's weird that these things are happening all over the place, and it hasn't happened to me. I have had a paranormal activity type thing happen recently, and I don't know if you guys want to hear like paranormal stories on this podcast. It's more for conspiracy theories. If you do, like, I'm more than willing to share, but I did have to sage my house pretty recently because I was really freaked out. Anyway, that's not this episode. This episode's about glitches in the Matrix, which are also very, very strange and are a little paranormal-esque. But now I'm going to read you some stories that I found in an article of Newsweek, because this isn't just happening with like people doing the same thing or like random things popping up or people just spacing out. This is happening. It's just like so many weird coincidences. And the fact that it's happening so frequently, I wanted to share as many stories as I could find. So I found this article of Newsweek, and again, everything's linked in the show notes. So if you want to read it, but I'm going to read these like verbatim. So you guys don't really have to go read them because I will read them to you. That's why I'm here. So this person, and I don't know their little tag. I'm going to just skip their tag because it's really long and kind of weird. But they wrote, "Years ago, I was talking to a colleague. He was a nice guy, but too young for me and not my type. In any event, he was leaving to move abroad the following month. I was divorced and 40 years old. Whilst we were talking, I got what I can only describe as a vivid image in my mind. It was of myself and this colleague. We were married with 2 children and living in a very hot place. Fast forward 5 years, and all of this came true. He stayed in England. A few months later, we dated, and then we got married and had 2 children when I was in my mid-40s. Then, out of the blue, he was offered a job in the Middle East, and we all moved there. I know it's a coincidence, but it's really strange." It is really strange. Like, how weird that, like, you're talking to this guy and this, like, picture of this future just pops into your brain. That's weird. I feel like that's more like a premonition, but here's another one. "I was once on my own in my family home. Family were all on holiday and only I had keys. I was making jam. I came to put it in jars and couldn't find half the lids. So I left the lidless jars in the pantry and went to bed." That's weird. I don't know why you do that. Anyway, sorry. I'm not trying to judge these people. "I got up in the morning and all the lidless jars now had lids screwed on tight, and in every jar was a dead spider." That's weird. That's really weird. That's creepy. Also, where'd the lids come from? Here's another one. "As a teenager, there were several of us having a seance." I just don't think you should do that. Don't do that. "Someone asked if there was a god. The wine glass shot off the table, shattered in midair, and the pieces fell to the floor. Still remember to this day." Again, I don't know if that's a glitch in the Matrix or that's just like paranormal activity. Like, that's creepy though. "About 15 years ago, I was tidying my room and suddenly there was a loud pop in one ear, followed by the sound of people talking. It was the strangest feeling, almost like hearing a conversation and then the people realize and move away. It faded to nothing. The voices were in my head, if you know what I mean, rather than being like overhearing people in the next room or next door." That's creepy. That could be a Matrix thing, or like a, I feel like multi-dimensional thing. Or again, maybe ghosts. I don't know. I have so many questions. But you know that simulation theory like really messes with my head. That episode was hard for me to like wrap my brain around, because I have to believe that maybe we're not in a simulation, because then nothing matters. It freaks me out. Anyway, here's another one. "Was making myself a cup of tea, then put the milk back in the fridge after using it. The doorbell rang, so I answered it, and when I came back to get my cup of tea, the milk was beside my cup. Thought it was weird, but maybe I got distracted by the door and put it down instead of putting it away. Took it to the fridge, opened the door, and there was milk. I had 2 identical milks. We had definitely only bought 1 carton, so I've no idea what happened." That is a glitch in the Matrix. If there ever was one, like, these things are happening all over the place. It's freaking me out. Here's another one. There's only a couple more here. I'm not going to read them all, but that one was good. Here's another one. "I went to an event with my very first digital camera. This was back in the 90s when they were quite a new thing. I took lots of photos in the morning, and then at around lunchtime I realized that I'd lost the camera. I was gutted. Retraced my steps, asked at every stall I'd stopped at whether it had been handed in, but there was no trace of it. At the end of the day, I went back to my locked hotel room, quite some distance from the event, and the camera was sitting right in the middle of my bed with all the photos from the morning on it. Like, these things, what? Oh my gosh. I knew this episode would freak me out, but I figured you guys would also really enjoy it. It's kind of creepy, but it's kind of cool. So here's another one, a wedding ring story. So my husband came home from work upset because he had lost his wedding ring. He never takes it off except to shower, so he figured it must have slipped off somehow. He was frantically looking for it, and we turned the house upside down. Even went back to his work to search the car park, but with no luck. Later that day, I was in the kitchen alone when I heard the sound of something hitting the floor. I turned around, and right there on the floor a couple feet away was his wedding ring. It was as if it had just appeared out of thin air. Here's a little bit of a longer one. Years ago, I had a signed photo of Andy Peters and Ed the Duck, which were British kids TV presenters. It was when I was a young child. I left it at my mom's house in the loft with childhood stuff when I went to uni. My mom then left that house and moved in with my stepdad at his house. I never had a room there, and the boxes of my childhood stuff were never unpacked. In the meantime, I lived in 4 separate towns before my current town. I hadn't been back much to the house since she died 9 years ago. A family member still lives there, so we hadn't cleared the loft yet. 2 years ago, a laundry bag bought about 3 years ago in my current town, which had never been anywhere but my current house. I found my signed picture at the bottom of it one day. I have racked my brains how it could have gotten there. It is definitely mine. I have a fairly unusual name, and it has the same folded corner. There's literally no way it could have gotten there. I have no old childhood books. I have no childhood books it could have been in or fallen out of. I haven't got anything out of that loft ever. I actually accused my sister of playing a joke, and we both ended up in tears. I found it was so scary as it was a totally impossible thing. What the heck? Guys, this is happening all over the place, right? So I don't know. I don't have any Glitch in the Matrix stories. I've never experienced this. But I think I would freak out if I did. Like, I don't know what I would do. Okay, this is the last one, and then this episode will be done. But it says, we lost the remote control for the TV. Searched and searched for it. Had to give up and ordered a replacement. The delivery man knocked on the door. I went and got the parcel, which had the new remote in it. Went back into the living room. Original remote control was on the floor in the middle of the room. I had just left the room. It wasn't there when I left. I cannot explain it. Made the hairs stand up on the back of my neck. That is weird. Like, if you search for it, and you go out of your way to order a new remote, you know it's been days at that point. Like, somebody would have seen the remote in the middle of the floor. In the middle of the room. I don't know. It's crazy. So I think the problem is the more I like read into these Glitch in the Matrix stories, or I like hear them, or I see them, it like freaks me out so much because the simulation theory freaks me out so much. But then it's like, is this evidence supporting the simulation theory? I don't know. I have a hard time. With this because it like really makes my brain kind of, I can't with it. I hope you guys really enjoyed this episode. I will share your Glitch in the Matrix stories if you want to send them. You guys never do end up sending anything in, but if you do, I will share them. But until next time, my friends, you guys stay skeptical, and I will see you very soon. Hey friends, The Rabbit Hole is an independent podcast with everything you hear done by me, Danny Mercy. I appreciate all of your support. Please rate and review wherever you're listening. If you want to follow us on Instagram, it's at rabbit.holepodcast. And thank you, Zakar Balaha, for our awesome intro.